Welcome to the GTN Show.
Welcome. On this week's show, we are looking at an athlete who's retiring and one who is not retiring, or whatever the opposite to that is, from two of Kona's old dogs.
Plus, Triathlon magazine speaks to Ironman CEO Scott DeRue, and Gwen Jorgensen makes a comeback again.
And we're looking ahead to the T100 finals coming up in Dubai this weekend.
Of course, we should also welcome Heather back. Thanks for coming back, Heather.
Oh, thank you.
We've missed you.
I mean, it's lovely to be back.
Everyone's missed you. Okay, Dave McNamee has announced his retirement. Dave McNamee was one of the oldest competitors at Kona this year, and he put out this social media post. Retirement time, the journey and the people I've met have meant more to me than any race result. Thank you to everyone who have made the last 20 years. 20 years as a pro athlete. So special. Triathlon has allowed me to have experience I could never have dreamt about growing up. However, even wonderful things have to come to an end physically and mentally. I know this is time for me now. But he does one more race, the T100 Dubai, coming up this weekend, which we'll be talking about a bit later.
Yeah, he's had a pretty sort of celebrated career, hasn't he, really?
Yeah, he's done really well. Twice top three in Kona.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But he's always one that sort of goes under the radar, just I think, yeah, pretty cool guy. Well, congrats on that. This one, I think maybe, James, you and I can maybe relate to, being asked lately as an older athlete. I mean, as we are maybe the same age as Cam Wurf, I don't want to throw you out there, but Cam Wurf has just put this post up saying he's asked us, does he find his recovery isn't the same as it used to be? No, apparently, is the answer. In fact, if anything, I believe I can train at a higher level and recover better than I did as a younger athlete. This is really quite fortunate, as I have no choice. The current generation is getting so fast that I have to lift my game if I want to remain competitive at the highest level. Do you relate to that, James?
Well, I mean, he was the second oldest person in Kona this year, and I kind of half expected him to go the same way as Dave McNamee after the race. But apparently, the exact opposite, as we saw last week. He went and ran the New York Marathon 1 week after Kona in a pretty impressive time of 2 hours 36, I think it was. So Cam is showing no sign of retirement.
That's just, it's quite incredible. We have no excuse, do we, really?
Well, yeah.
Well, we can start listening, but no, we haven't got all day. This next one I spotted over the weekend. There is a new world record, but we're not allowed to call it a world record because we're talking about Parkrun, and they got rid of all records. However, Nick Griggs, at just 19 years of age, has run the fastest ever recorded Parkrun time, 13 minutes, 44 seconds at Victoria Park in Belfast on Saturday.
It's actually the same place where the women's best was.
Last year.
Women's record, we're not allowed to call it record, but let's be honest, it's the 5K race that happens all over the world every weekend. A world best time of 13:44. The women's race was also was also set at the same venue in Ireland by Ciara McGeehan. Ciara, I reckon. Gosh, I don't know. 15 minutes and 13 seconds. So apparently that one's the fastest parkrun. If you're looking for a parkrun PB,
that's where you need to head to. Once I'm fit again. Not quite finally, we have Valtteri Bottas dipping his toes in triathlon. Or did he?
Yeah, well, apparently he did an Ironman, but he did it like the lockdown version. I don't really know why you would do that, to be honest. He did it in his backyard pool, swam 3.8 Ks. Then he got on his Peloton bike and cycled 180, and then he ran on his treadmill a full marathon, and apparently did it in about 11 hours. He posted, after 3 years at the Stake F1 team, we decided to part ways. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of the team, everyone I worked with, and especially you guys out there for the support now, then, and future. And then he put in on that, let's look forward to what's to come, and he does this whole hashtag, what's next? And now everyone thinks that what's next might be some triathlons.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, he got Jan Frodeno on the phone apparently during this. So,
jump in the deep end. Although I did look at those photos, and he's on that Peloton bike in run shorts for 180 Ks.
And he still ran?
He is hard as nails. Actually, the Triathlon, On Your Left Triathlon did a little poll, and they said, is he posing or is he doing a legit triathlon? And 65% said he's just doing it for the social media. He's posing. I'm not sure I agree with him. I think it's pretty cool that he's doing an Ironman, but I do wonder why he didn't just call up Ironman and say, hey, I'd like to do a proper Ironman. And they'd be like, anyone, which one do you want to enter? You're in. Instead of doing it in his backyard.
Maybe that was his warm-up.
Maybe he'll join one soon.
Yeah, you just don't know, do you? There's a nice post here that World Triathlon have collaborated on with Luisa Baptista. Now, you might remember, it was actually according to this, I think 10 months ago, that she got knocked off her bicycle and was pretty badly injured. She was in hospital and, Olympic dreams out the window for her. She was in a coma for 3 months, which is quite horrific. But there's a picture here of her, obviously still in an arm splint, but she's actually doing a shakeout run. So great to see that she's on a comeback and looks like she's got a little way to go, but she's going in the right direction, hopefully.
Yeah, she was cheering on the sidelines at the Brasilia World Cup this past weekend. Meanwhile, Alex Yee was in a water park in Dubai, but he posted the video of him in a water park with the tagline "Final prep for the T100 Dubai." He's not on the wildcard list. I think this is just him poking fun in social media. I don't think he's actually doing it, but it would be good to see him do a T100.
It's his final supporting prep, he's just getting
Maybe next year he'll do a wildcard. He'll get a wildcard invitation for one or two of them. That would be good to see. Moving on, if you're not aware yet, we have a new memberships feature here on the channel. Down below the video, there's a little join button, and you can join our channel as a member, which allows you discounts on all our merchandise, and also you have access to a whole bunch of emojis. And because we have so many subscribers already, we've unlocked new emojis. These ones. There's a pit stop, banana pit stop. I don't know what you call that. Food stop. Gel. Of course, a GTN swim cap, and of course, the laughing emoji with our GTN cap. And of course, if you're a member, you can use those as your comments in the comments under all of our YouTube videos. So hit that join button and become a member to support the channel. It is very much appreciated.
Yeah, can't wait to see these new emojis, hey? Finally, we have our Coros competition still running until this Friday. Now, Mark and James covered that on last week's show. If you want more of the details.
Pretty cool bundle here. A full triathlete bundle. So you get the Coros Pace Pro, you also get the Coros Dura, and of course you get that heart rate monitor that goes with it. The perfect bundle for a triathlete. Entries are open. Click the link down below. They close 10 o'clock GMT this Friday, and we'll announce the winners on next week's show. Well, there's not much tri news at the moment. Of course, we're deep into November now. There is one big T100 race coming up, which, as I said, we'll talk about in a little bit, but there's not much happening in the world of triathlon. However, Triathlon magazine did sit down with the Ironman CEO Scott DeRue this past week after Kona to get his thoughts on, well, the question on everyone's lips, really. He's actually just taken over as CEO a few months ago and is in a bit of a crash course on Ironman, on triathlon in general. He basically come from a non-triathlon background, never done a triathlon, and in a few months he's gone and experienced all the world championships, both in Nice and in Kona. He's also done his first 70.3 in North Carolina, which he did in 5 hours and 45 minutes, which is not bad for his first time. All in the aim of just getting a big experience of exactly what this whole sport is all about so that he can start making changes. The past few months, he's, as I say, experienced Kona, but also just walked around Kona. And he said that you had to be there, right? His quote was...
Well, he said here, the power of the Ironman World Championships is something that you can read about, people can tell you about, you can see pictures of, but you can't really emotionally feel it until you're part of it, until you experience it firsthand. Yeah,
well, that's true. I agree with that. He also has been walking around Kona, the actual surrounding, the community. He's talking to shop owners and stuff because he's tasked with this really impossible... Conundrum, I guess you'd call it, where he's got to figure out how they fix this split world champs on the other side of the world, world champs alternating Nice and Kona. Do they carry on with that indefinitely? Do they change it to something else? It seems like on the ground, people are not that happy with it, the athletes anyway. But what is the solution? But when he was asked, in 2025, should we expect the same two-day format, Nice and Kona? His answer was an emphatic yes. Absolutely. Yeah, but beyond that, he realises there's quite a big issue at hand, and he's quoted here of saying, I've heard every opinion that you can imagine. I've heard we should go back to one day, that one day should be in Kona, or that one day should move around the world like the Olympics. I've heard that it should be 2 days, and 2 days in one place, 2 days in different places. I've heard that it shouldn't be a qualification, it should be a regular race you can enter, even if you don't qualify. What I've said to date, and it's the honest answer, is that the guiding principle for making any long-term decision about the World Championship format will be motivated and driven by what's in the best interest of our athletes in our community. Very diplomatic answer. Yeah, but what will it be? I mean, it seems almost cut and dried that it will never go back to 2 days in Kona like Thursday, Saturday that they did in 2022. It just did not go down well with the local community. I'd be very surprised if he's ever able to convince Kona to do that. But how does he come up with a solution that does satisfy everyone? Could you possibly go back to it all being on 1 day in Kona and have the men and women racing on the same day on the same course like historically Kona always was? Personally, I think you could. I mean, a lot of women are like, well, we need our own showcase. You need to be seen more. It's been great for the women's sport that the women get their own showcase event. But I think you can solve that problem with much better coverage, so that you know what's happening in the race, so that you see as much of the women as the men. It's 8 hours. You can fit in all the features and enough time for the men and the women throughout the race. If your coverage is really good, and of course you have to do the logistics of the race itself so that the age group men are not affecting the pros race, etc. But that's also, there are solutions there. I think you can do it. But if they can't make that work and Kona doesn't work, what is the solution? Do you move the race around the world? Will anyone accept the world champs not being in Kona, the entire world champs not being in Kona?
Well, when that question was posed to Scott DeRue, he says, I'm being very transparent and very genuine when I say that we're going to look at all the information that we have available to us, and most importantly, the views and opinions of our athletes, understanding that not all of those athletes will see the world the same way. That's a bit of a key there, isn't it? He says, we'll make a decision that we think is in the best interest of the sport and the community long term. I understand everybody wants to speculate, but we're not going to rush into that decision. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be just a matter of what everybody wants, and you're never going to please everybody.
No, you won't.
I think we're just glad that we're not in the shoes of Scott DeRue.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you to Triathlete Magazine for that article. If you want to read the full interview, it is on their website, triathlete.com.
On to race news, and World Triathlon have wrapped up their World Cups with the final World Cup in Miyazaki. And Gwen Jorgensen, who's had a bit of an up and down season, has ended it on a high with a win. It was all looked like it could have gone a little bit wrong going into T2 when she had a collision. We're not exactly sure what happened, but collision somewhere within the transition zone, and did lose about 11 seconds, came out 15 seconds behind the lead pack. But with her phenomenal run that we know she has, she managed to come through and take the win by 2 seconds ahead of Elisa Koenig, and Jolien Vermeulen of Belgium was third.
Talk about a rollercoaster season for her. She's a massive comeback, almost got to the Olympics and then got unselected, and then crashed and broke a collarbone, and now she's back to
I've been following that progress. I mean, I've recently done mine, and I'm not quite at Gwen's level, but I'm inspired.
Yeah. Well, you can come back and win a World Cup.
Just give me a few more years.
Okay, yeah, we'll wait. On the men's side, Maxime Hueber-Moosbrugger from France took the win ahead of Ben Dijkstra from Great Britain and Kenji Nene from Japan in third.
We also had 70.3 Melbourne, and Ellie Salthouse comfortably took the win there.
With Jared Osborne taking the men's win. And then Challenge Simon in China on the women's side, Alana Siffert took the win.
And the men's race was won by Onyan Stojanovic.
Looking at the races coming up this coming week, we have 70.3 Valdivia in Chile and also 70.3 Mossel Bay in South Africa. And of course the Laguna Phuket Triathlon, which has always been a traditional season closer. It's a really good race. Good party too.
Can imagine.
Yeah. Of course, we also have T100 Dubai coming up this weekend, and all eyes are going to be on Dubai.
Well, all is going to be decided in Dubai, because after this race, we will have a new T100 world champion crowned, and people have been doing the numbers on basically what scenarios will crown who. And the women's race is more straightforward. I mean, Taylor Knibb has dominated predominantly throughout this season, and as a result, if she comes first or second, irrelevant of what anyone else finishes, she will win. But below that, it then gets a little bit more open, and Ashley Gentle is the main contender. So if Taylor is third or fourth and Ashley has to win, then Ashley Gentle would be crowned the world champion. And it kind of goes on a little bit down like that. So if Taylor was fifth, Ashley Gentle would have to be at least third. Sixth, again, it would be third.
Well, then it'll be a tie. But we don't actually know how they separate the ties.
Yeah, that's true. If the sixth and the third
If Taylor Knibb is sixth and Gentle's third, there is a tie. Although, let's be honest, the permutations get more and more unexpected, shall we say. We expect Taylor Knibb or Ashley Gentle to win
on the
this.
top of that podium.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, the smart money will be on Taylor Knibb, I reckon.
I think so. I reckon the odds are pretty good for her.
Yeah, it's between one of those two. On the men's side, it's a little bit more open, but also not. Martin Van Riel needs first, second, or third. And he takes
Full
the title.
stop.
He takes the world champion. If he finishes 4th, 5th, or 6th, and Magnus Ditlev finishes first, then Magnus Ditlev would take the title. However, you have to point out that Magnus Ditlev has a second in Kona in his legs not very long ago. And racing a T100 on the back of that just seems a push, doesn't it? Martin Van Riel's coming into it fresh, perfect preparation for it, whereas Magnus Ditlev's carrying a whole bunch of fatigue, and you really can't see him doing that. There's more permutations as you go down. There's also ways that those two guys could end up tied for the title. And again, we don't know how they sort that out. Do they have
There's two options, aren't there?
Super sprint triathlon the next day, just the two of them? That would be I would tune in to watch that. There is also a few more permutations where Kyle Smith could potentially even take the title if Martin Van Riel finishes below 6th, I think, and Magnus Ditlev finishes below 2nd. Carl Smith wins. He could then take the title. And in fact, Sam Long or even Yuri Kulin could step all the way up to the title if all of those three men we've mentioned previously have absolutely shockers of a day and finish way down the ranking. Of course, there's more to play for than just this series title, just the grand final win. There's also contracts up for grabs for next year because only the top 10 in the series get contracts for next year. Obviously,
Guaranteed.
20 athletes were contracted this year. 10 of those contracts are going to fall away for those athletes who didn't finish in the top 10. And then they'd have to revalidate or requalify. It's a little bit subjective beyond that.
So it does say the next 6 contracted athletes will be decided through analysis of the world rankings. Doesn't end there, though. It says, and those who've shone with standout performances in the 2024 season. So it isn't just, if you're ranked 13th, you're guaranteed. No. It's not that straightforward.
You'd have to have
the small print.
the fine print, exactly. And then, of course, there's 4 hot shots, which could be people like Alex Yee, Olympic gold medalist, maybe he'll get a hot shot start. I don't think he's turning his attention to T100 despite his social media post. But they could just choose random hot shots, someone who will just light up the race and make it really interesting. And then, of course, they add wild cards for those races that 4 or 5 maybe contracted athletes wouldn't show up to any particular race because they don't have to race all of the races in the series. They fill those spots with wild cards, which are handed out on a race-by-race basis. So 2025, the series is going ahead in 2025, and there was a little doubt occasionally that it might not, but they have announced some of those dates.
Yeah, they have. We've got 7 races that are in the calendar, apparently. Dubai, which is happening right now, that's the last at the moment of next year's, which doesn't have an exact date, but we've got Singapore, French Riviera, San Francisco, London, Ibiza, Lake Las Vegas, all with dates already firmly in the diary.
Yeah, and then there's some rumours trickling out that there may be a race in Vancouver in June, a T100 race. That's kind of leaked information. We haven't had that confirmed from the T100 yet.
Rumours starting at GTN.
We're not starting the rumour. We just found it on social media. But yeah, it does look like the T100 will carry on in 2025 and it's going to be some exciting racing. They cut it down to 7 races this year. Hopefully we'll see a full 8 next year. There was even rumours that there might be as many as 10 races in the full series, and that's what they're aiming to grow for. So fingers crossed we get there. Now it's time for Try Spy. We had this image last week. Can you tell who that is?
I didn't. I have been watching the shows and, some have been easy. This one I had no idea, I'm afraid. I didn't.
We're still calibrating how hard to make them. This one, Coke in the face. So El Capelka said, ha, is it Sam trying to unbonk in Try Spy? It was not Sam Lidlow.
No, we had quite a few suggesting it was Sam Lidlow, really kind of quite adamant about it. JL Rodriguez, it's Sam Lidlow, obviously. Shesh90, Sam Lidlow, exclamation mark. I doubt that the bubbles up the nose helped his race experience.
I doubt they did. Amaral Relangnaik said, Try Spy, Matt Hansen was a hard one, but apparently not hard enough. Well, apparently it was hard enough because it's not wrong. Matt Hansen. And then Quick Chose said, Try Spy been on a 3 hard, 1 easy recovery week, which is pretty accurate, actually. We are triathletes. It's what you're going to do. Jas Kapinski actually got it right. He was the first one to get it right. Menno Koolhaus, 5th in Kona, first out the water, and sprayed some cooling with Coke.
Sticky
Pioneer of cooling with Coke. Yeah.
Lovely.
In Kona. This week, we have this image. I think we're probably sticking with the 2 hard weeks in a row pattern here. It's one from the archives. I'll give you that little clue. It's not a recent image. Can you tell us who that is?
You've given us so much clue with that, James. I mean...
Yeah, you got to figure out who it is, though. Good luck. Say what? Okay, time to look at some of the comments under our videos. And now Mark put out a video, the secrets the pros used, and actually we borrowed this set, or he borrowed this set, which is one we're borrowing too. The reason we're borrowing a set currently is because GTN's new set is just getting the finishing touches put on it. Watch this space. We'll be in a new set very soon. But there were some comments under that video.
Yes.
Because,
it's a bit cold in the UK, isn't it? So every now and then we do light the fire. But you guys had some very observant eyes. Now, this is said fire behind us, not lit today. We forgot. It's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, but Chris Laycock said, gonna have to watch this whole video again. Got distracted waiting for the plastic water bottle and race shoes on top of the wood-burning stove to spontaneously combust. Lol. Okay, it's a fake wood-burning stove.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't going to melt. There was no danger. There was no jeopardy. The fire alarm was not going to go. Steve Bassett also wrote, plastics on a fireplace? That's hot tech.
I like that one. Yeah.
There is no danger. Mark didn't melt any on-running shoes or anything like that, or plastic bottles.
But if you're curious as to what the video entailed other than the fire, well, it is out now and it's on screen if you want to click on it and take a watch and try to ignore the melting shoes.
Yeah, you'll have to ignore the not melting shoes. Also, coming up on the channel later this week, I looked at Cam Wurf's pro bike in Kona, and it is one, well, for the ages. In fact, I think it might have been the most expensive bike on the pier in Kona this year. So that's coming up on the channel later this week. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again next week.